is never
break.
exposed to temperatures above 0 degrees
Boy,
Celsius.
you
and
playing?
Are prohibited within 30 meters of the containment.
This must be a D class, bro. Like, yo, there's no way you're an agent. Look at this dude warning you, and this guy's a question mark on his dome. Come on, B, get with the program.
Later, in the void.
What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Savvy, and welcome back to the Savvy Show. And in today's episode, we have another cool SCP on our hands. It looks like some kind of disease or something that's attaching on these humans, but it's more so something that is not what you think a disease will be. And you guys will get what I'm talking about, because this SCP is SCP-009 Red Ice. So honestly, yes, from the title, Red Ice, I feel like that is maybe the disease that is going on these humans. They get infected somehow, and they end up turning to these crystallized red ice blocks. Who knows? But it seems really cool, and I can't wait to dive deep. So with that being said, if you guys are excited for this reaction, please remember to smash that like button. Also smash the sub button if you're not already a part of the family. Like I say every video, man, hop on the train, have a blast with the fam. Stop cruising around the internet alone. Join the family. We love to have you. We want to have a blast together, guys, so come on and hop in. And also remember to turn on post notifications so you do not miss an upload. YouTube doesn't always recommend my videos, even if you're subbed sometimes. So it behooves you, if you want to stay plugged with each and every reaction, hit that bell. And also, like always, shout out to ODDity for bringing this animation for us, for me to react to today for you guys. Without them, wouldn't be reacting to this. So give props where props are due, down in the description below. But without any further ado, let's get this show started. Alrighty, SCP-009 Red Ice. Let's go, guys. We're off.
Water. It's one of the core building blocks of life. Takes up a majority of the Earth's surface and makes up most of the human body's mass. It's essential for life, and when uncontaminated, has a clear appearance, often with a green or blue tint due to the way it absorbs light. But there's one instance of water found in Alaska that has a very different look to it altogether. SCP-009 is a specimen that appears to resemble standard H2O, with a big difference. It has a bright red tint that persists no matter what is done to it, be it solid, liquid, or gas. Also, unlike regular water, SCP-009 is in a liquid state at temperatures between 0 and negative 100 degrees Celsius. When above 0 degrees, which is the normal melting point of water, SCP-009 becomes a solid. And when the temperature of the substance drops below negative 100 degrees Celsius, it vaporizes into a gas. And that's where it becomes most dangerous. That's because SCP-009 isn't just a strangely colored liquid with its freezing and melting points all mixed up. Despite its chemical properties mostly resembling standard H2O, it has a unique and deadly property. It can assimilate any standard water and convert it to more of its own substance. In other words, SCP-009 turns any regular water it comes into contact with into more of itself.
That makes sense. And wow, that's so interesting. I didn't think it was that complex as what I thought before, you know, getting into this video. But it makes sense if someone, some way, somehow, accidentally, hint, hint, D classes using experiments, drinks this SCP, they're going to turn 75% of them into this red ice, because 75% of us is, you know, water. So, whoa, that is interesting.
And the impact this could have on living beings containing water, including humans, is just what concerns the Foundation the most. And the first encounter with SCP-009 soon proved just how deadly this substance could be. Members of a local Alaskan tribe reported finding the bodies of a group of seal hunters near their village, and there was something very off about them. The Foundation learned of these reports and deployed a team of 3, Agents Hughes, Whitmore, and Cassidy, to investigate. What they found was shocking. The seal hunters' bodies were completely encased in solid red ice.
Don't get too close.
The investigation initially found that they had died from internal bleeding, but later testing indicated the process by which SCP-009 kills is much more complicated. Things were looking bleak enough, but it was when they discovered a nearby cave that the threat level escalated even more. It was a narrow opening, only a meter tall, but inside, they found a body, a young man with a spear gun.
Dang.
Like he was trying to crawl away from something.
He doesn't look young.
Stabbed, but there was no knife. Instead, the weapon was a spike of red ice growing from his chest. The control agent directing the mission told them to proceed into the cave, ready to fire in the event of hostiles, and the team could swear that an unknown shuffling noise could be heard. As they progressed deeper into the cave, they discovered a large chamber filled with red ice, approximately 6 meters in diameter. In the middle was a pool with the red liquid. The team soon realized they weren't alone in the chamber, but they were the only things that were actually alive. Surrounding them was an...
Okay, so I'm assuming they're referring to the red ice. Hence, they're not alone, but the only things alive. Get what I'm saying? Hopefully.
Assortment of local wildlife, and all of them were frozen solid. A fox, seals, a polar bear, even a giant spider, which was likely an unknown
Was that an SCP? What the hell?
occurrence of SCP-3023.
Okay.
A Keter-class threat, where a random object will develop an aggressive and deadly arachnid form.
This shit took out a Keter? Bro.
Control ordered the team not
Yeah,
to
that's
investigate the
wild.
spider further.
What's
And
that
Hughes
SCP
ordered
doing?
Cassidy to sweep the perimeter and look for side tunnels as Hughes investigated the pool. It seemed
Don't
bottomless,
get close.
with agents comparing its appearance to SCP-354, the blood pool. They retrieved a spear found in the frozen spider.
Oh my god, they're wildin'. You just saw them taking out that spear and all the red ice almost touched. Okay. I have bad feelings about this. These guys are going to get toasted.
Depth, and were surprised that it only appeared to be a meter deep. Just then, Cassidy called out. She had found something. It was another tunnel in the ice, about a meter across, covered in the mysterious red substance. But when the rest of the agents moved to join her, Agent Cassidy was nowhere to be found. She had disappeared, and the only thing the remaining agents could detect was a faint light coming from the tunnel.
Yeah, and you why don't even go in that tunnel. Look how much red ice is on the ground. One drop of sweat, anything. Yo, y'all should be knowing better than this. Come on.
Cassidy's torch. Everything in the tunnel was wet. The walls and the floor, and about a meter further down was a puddle, and it was red. Hughes wanted to go deeper into the tunnel, but Control made it clear. The exploration was over. D-Class personnel would be deployed to continue exploring and to search for the unfortunate Agent Cassidy.
Dang, Agent.
The Foundation still didn't know what they had on their hands, but whatever it was dangerous. A D-Class team was deployed, and a sample of the strange ice was found. No reports of Agent Cassidy's fate are available, but extensive testing was done on the strange red liquid. It soon became clear that whatever liquid made contact with it became another instance of SCP-009, including ice, steam, tea, juice, seawater, and even human blood.
Oh my god, so that's insane. So yeah, if you have a cut, the ice, and if it touches the ice, you know, you'll turn into the SCP. And also, like I was saying before, it will be sweat too, and it could be steam from coming off of your body. Cause that is a moisture. Yeah, I would not even go into that tunnel. You guys should have sent D-classes off the rip.
This conversion can happen in as little as 3 minutes or up to several hours in some cases. But what about assimilating more complex objects, like humans? It was determined that testing on D-class personnel needed to begin in order to understand the process that led to the hunters being frozen solid. Initial exposure begins with the sample of SCP-009 assimilating any moisture present on the exposure area. This can include sweat or any other liquid on human skin.
I'm on this.
SCP-009 doesn't seem to pose any threat, and the subject reports that it feels slightly warm on the skin. That changes quickly in Phase 2. As the surface conversion begins, frost starts to form on the exposed area, and the natural heat raises the substance's temperature above 0 degrees Celsius. This can take only a minute or several hours.
Cool this dude down.
Begins, the process is irreversible. This is also when the process becomes painful for the subject, as red ice crystals start to emerge from the skin, which is a prelude to deep tissue conversion. Stage 3 starts as the temperature of SCP-009 increases rapidly, and the conversion speeds up.
Oh my god.
Quickly, which actually prevent massive blood loss and keep the subject from dying quickly, with some staying alive for many hours. Data for end-stage conversion is currently restricted, and after the results were examined further, testing on D-class personnel was suspended. But that wasn't the end of all SCP-009.
My god. And that's saying a lot. Testing on D-classes got suspended. They don't give two shits about D-classes and they're suspended it. I should tell you something, guys. Yo, let's hear it one more time.
Results were examined further. Testing on D-class personnel was suspended. But that wasn't the end of all SCP-009 testing. Tests were performed involving fusing the substance with liquid nitrogen, and potential for its use in cold fusion were explored, but both were ultimately suspended due to the risks. More worrying are the reports of a test using SCP-107, which were found due to a convenient shift from the dimension-hopping specimen, SCP-507. While not performed in this reality, we now have an indication of how SCP-009 would interact with 107, a turtle shell that can generate rain when exposed to any liquid. When exposed to SCP-009, it caused a red snow-like substance to fall in the test area for 27 minutes, which affected any organic matter that was exposed. All grass and other plants in the area turned red, and the entire area was frozen solid. Other mutations emerged, such as large tentacles that generated tiny beads of SCP-009. This indicates that the plant wasn't just infected, but converted into a form that would spread SCP-009 independently. Whether this same result would be replicated in our universe is unknown, and it is probably for the best.
You better teleport out of there. Yeah.
But regardless, it was becoming clear that SCP-009 posed an existential threat. Because the red ice could assimilate any moisture it touched, and it was deadly to any living being that it made contact with, the safety of the water supply on Earth depended on keeping SCP-009 isolated.
Nice.
Its initial location in the Alaskan cave was remote enough that Foundation scientists believed there had been no contamination outside this area, but tests indicated that once exposed to a foreign object, it would convert it fully and never stop, which meant even one drop of SCP-009 in the ocean could render virtually all salt water on Earth deadly. Many agents in the Foundation argued for reclassifying SCP-009 as Keter, but it was determined that it was manageable to contain, and the site where it was found became one of the SCP Foundation's most closely guarded bases.
Yeah, they do have a point. I mean, it is deadly enough to be Keter, but obviously these classes are how easy or how hard it is to contain an SCP. So Keter, I mean, that wouldn't be just because it seems like it's pretty easy to be contained. So that makes sense. Let me hear that one more time though.
Render virtually all salt water on Earth deadly. Many agents in the Foundation argued for reclassifying SCP-009 as Keter, but it was determined that it was manageable to contain, and the site where it was found became one of the SCP Foundation's most closely guarded bases.
I like how they build around these SCPs. I feel like that's really cool too. Like, if they're so dangerous, they just, you know, they have the money to build around, like, build a base around the SCP. That instead of like moving it to them. I just thought that they've been doing this in a lot of SCPs, but I always figured that it's pretty cool. I never touched upon it.
The source of SCP-009 is kept in a sealed storage tank of heat-resistant alloy metal, at least 2 meters on each side. It is imperative to make sure that SCP-009 is never exposed to temperatures above 0 degrees Celsius.
Boy, you playing!
Are prohibited within 30 meters of the containment.
This must be a D class, bro. Like, yo, there's no way you're an agent. Look at this dude warning you, and this guy's a question mark on his dome. Come on, B, get with the program.
Area. The area is surrounded by temperature sensors with monitors, and the refrigeration system keeping SCP-009 in a solid state is given at least 2 backups at all times. At even the slightest sign of trouble, the Foundation springs into action. If the temperature fluctuates
breathing too heavy.
The chamber is immediately locked down and pumped with coolant until it's secure.
Yo.
Once testing resumes, the containment area is placed under a total vacuum, and anyone involved in the test must wear secure protective gear.
Nice.
All material exposed to the substance undergoes dehydration and is quarantined for at least 12 hours. Any subjects showing signs of conversion are permanently kept in the containment area. It is important to note that once conversion of organic material begins, it is irreversible, and any contaminated organisms are to be terminated and dehydrated for future study.
Damn.
SCP-009 resembles water in every way except its color, but functions as a contagion hostile to human life. It doesn't seem to occur anywhere else on Earth but in that pool in Alaska, but the Foundation will be quick to contain any other occurrences located around the world should they emerge. No research has drawn any concrete evidence of SCP-009's origins, be they man-made or natural, which has led some in the Foundation's Xenospatial Physics Department to speculate that it may have come from another world, one where this is a natural form of water. If it is an incursion from another world, the way SCP-009 interacts with organic matter indicates there's a good chance anything from that world would pose an existential threat to our own. Research is continuing, but under a controlled environment with minimal chance of exposure. No answers have been found on reversing the contamination process, which means the focus is on ensuring zero spread of the specimen, especially to any larger bodies of water where it could spread uncontrolled.
Dude, I'm just literally thinking about how crazy and how easy it would have been if, say, like, you know, there was like dogs and SCP and humans that got turned into the red ice in that cave. Imagine, because it's not instant when you get into contact with this SCP. It takes time for you to, like, you know, die. So say like the dog that got, you know, he touched the ice, maybe sweat or whatever, and he ran out and he got into the ocean and died in the ocean. And then it just spread throughout the ocean, like the whole Atlantic Ocean. Just like that. How easy that could have been. And like, that's irreversible. There's nothing you could do. There's no like rewinding time. There's no turning that back, you know? So it's so crazy how this could like literally be like a K-class scenario. I'm pretty sure it can be. But bro, that is wild. And you know what else I was thinking about? Oh, I'll talk about it when it's over. Hold up.
Scientists believe that the spread of SCP-009 could be an extinction level event. But for now, it is safely contained at its site in Alaska.
Nice.
Frozen solid, along with the unfortunate specimens trapped with it forever.
Okay, that's good. And literally, what I was going to talk about is this could be a lot more dangerous to say if it wasn't even red. Imagine if it just looked exactly like water, because it was saying like it's exactly just like water besides the color. Imagine if it was looking exactly like water, and it's called like just blue ice or clear ice. You know how dangerous and crazy that would. Oh my god! And the people like just checking out the cave where this red ice is at, they probably wouldn't even know what is the SCP. They probably would just think it's water, and then they'll jump in and be like, "Oh, what the hell's going on?" They wouldn't know the difference because it looks exactly like water. How crazy would that be, guys? Bro, this was a good SCP to react to. If you guys enjoyed this reaction, please remember to smash that like button. Also, smash the sub button if you're not already part of the family. If you've made it this far, you're not on the train with us, quit window shopping. Hop in, man. We got some seats left, but it's going to be filling up soon, so you better hop in so we get this shit pushing. So with that all out the way, remember to do what you got to do, and remember to turn on post notifications so you do not miss an upload, and have fun with the crew. So with that all out the way, unfortunately, that concludes today's episode. However, I'll catch you guys on the next one.